Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode. My name is Iris, and today I'm talking about what keeps people in their unhappy relationships. Over the past few weeks, I've been really focusing in on the happiness and the satisfaction and the fulfillment that we have in our romantic relationships. A lot of people, given the times that we're in right now, and even in spite of the times that we're in right now, people just experience moments in their relationships where they're unhappy and there seems to be no movement forward, no collaboration on fixing the relationship. Things seem to become stagnant, stuck, and there just seems to be no resolution. So I've devoted the past few episodes, as I said, on the whole concept of, do I stay in the relationship? Do I leave the relationship? How do I improve the relationship? How do I become happier in the relationship? So for this episode, I'm talking about what keeps you in an unhappy relationships. Because quite often we find ourselves, and maybe you're experiencing this yourself, is you give it everything you've got. You try and be creative, you try to be spontaneous, you try and give them space when you think that they need it. You do more things for them, you try and do more things for yourself and be a little bit more independent in the relationship. Maybe you're starting to bite your tongue a little bit because there's a lot of fighting and you don't want to make waves, so you're not saying what you need to say. And you may even find yourself suggesting counseling, and in spite of all of your efforts, nothing is helping, and it becomes very frustrating and it becomes very consuming. But what happens is sometimes you feel a glimmer of hope. Something changes, maybe your partner gets a little bit responsive, things seem to get a little bit better for a little while, and you think, okay, things are getting better, and you find that there's a little bit of happiness that's starting to come back. But then you find that it doesn't last. So overall, when you think about the relationship, you feel sad, you feel unhappy, and you don't know what to do. And the interesting thing is perhaps you've even contemplated leaving the relationship, but just as soon as those thoughts pop into your head, they're quickly chased away with all sorts of reasons why you can't possibly do that. Because on one hand, you feel dissatisfied in the relationship, yet on the other hand, you love this person and you really want to make it work. At the end of the day, you just want to be happy, you want them to be happy, you want a happy relationship. So in spite of all of this, when you look at what really is the root cause of all of the unhappiness in our relationships, there's some things that come to mind from my perspective on unhappiness in relationship, and it's usually a combination of one or two of the points of the 4 points that I'm going to speak about next. So the first point in what causes us unhappiness in relationship is this need for our partners to be different. So sometimes our partners are doing things, they're behaving in certain ways, maybe they've changed over the course of the relationship, maybe they've been the same way the whole time and it's just something that's been tolerated, but now all of a sudden it's no longer tolerable. But it's this need for that person to be different than what they are that causes us in the relationship, you in the relationship, to be unhappy. You need them to be different so that you can feel happier. So basically, if they didn't do that thing, if they didn't keep saying that thing, if they were a different way, then you would feel better about the relationship. So that's one thing that causes unhappiness in a relationship. Another point that comes to mind when I talk about unhappiness in relationship is not where you don't want the same things from life. And maybe when you started the relationship, you were on the same page and you wanted the same things, and now things have changed and you no longer want the same things. Or perhaps when you first got together, you really didn't consider or think about what you wanted in the relationship and whether or not it jived with what the other person wants in the relationship. And those things happen depending on where you're at in your life and how much thought really that you've given to it. I remember when I was young, I didn't give a lot of thought into what I wanted from life. I mean, I knew that I wanted to get married and I wanted to have kids, but I also wanted to travel and have a lot of fun and so on. So not a lot of thought went into what is it that I really wanted from this relationship. And I've also had the experience of coming together into a union with somebody and we were on the same page about what we wanted, and then as time progressed in the relationship, we didn't want the same things. So that causes a lot of stress and unhappiness in the relationship, because naturally, you know, when you invest that time and that energy into the relationship, and all of a sudden we find we don't want the same things anymore. Another thing that causes unhappiness in relationships, from my perspective, is when our emotional needs go unmet. Now, I'm the first person to say that we really need to look at how we can nurture ourselves, take care of ourselves, provide ourselves with what we need, rather than looking for external people and things to fulfill our own unmet emotional needs. But having said that, when we get into partnership with somebody, there is a deeper level of need that comes from being in a relationship. We get things from being in a relationship. We get that closeness, we get that intimacy, we get that, it's almost like that person that we can, you know, give our heart and our soul to, who, that person that is going to keep our secrets, that is going to share their secrets with us. It's that bonding at that deep emotional level. And I have seen a lot of relationships where the emotional and intimate connection lays at the surface, and over the course of time, we want to, as we move forward in the relationship, we want to establish a deeper level of connection with that person. It's that deeper level of bonding. And as the relationship progresses, if you will start to feel when your emotional needs aren't being met, and that is also going to cause unhappiness in your relationship. And, you know, sometimes there are people, we encounter people who aren't at that place in their life where they can really be open and vulnerable with us and really allow that deeper level of connectedness that we are so deeply desiring. And that in and of itself causes a lot of strain and unhappiness, because we want that deeper level of emotional connection. So when your needs are going unmet, it does create a lot of unhappiness in relationships. And then the fourth point is a lack of trust, lack of openness, and lack of communication. I was having a conversation with somebody this week, and we were talking about the health of that person's relationship and how they were very unhappy in the relationship. And one of the things that I said to this person was that there is the most fundamental thing that you can have for a successful relationship is open and honest communication. And some people really hold back in their communication, and when the communication starts to break down, it builds up walls and it closes down the deeper connection, and we start to lose trust in the other person and trust in the relationship. And once communication breaks down, intimacy also starts to break down. So these 4 components, needing your partner to be different, not wanting the same things from life, emotional needs going unmet, and then the lack of trust, communication, and openness, are the four key points from my perspective that really cause that unhappiness in relationship. But then it also prompts the question, what keeps you there? So if you can see yourself in one of the 4 points and you're still staying in the relationship, the question then becomes, why do you stay in a relationship that's not working? So I do want to say that it takes 2 to build the relationship. It also takes 2 to collapse the relationship. It does take both people to make the relationship work, and there are reasons that come to mind when I consider what keeps people in their unhappy relationships. And the first reason that came to mind when I was considering this is the time that you've already invested in the relationship. So when you share your heart and your soul and your life with someone, it's not only an investment of time in terms of months or years that you've invested, you've also invested a significant amount of emotional energy. So it's not easy to walk away and let all of that time and energy that you've invested into the relationship to just walk away, especially when there's still feelings of love that are still present there. And a lot of people have a really difficult time leaving a relationship when there is still so much love there, and it's a painful process to go through. But so many people stay in there because of the emotional connection and the time that's gone into trying to make this relationship work, and they keep hanging on, hoping that things will get better. But if you're not both invested in working on moving through resolving the problems in the relationship, one person can't be the only person working on the issues. It just won't work. It's very one-sided, and it actually contributes to more unhappiness and dissatisfaction in the relationship. So the second reason that comes to mind is that your person, should you choose to leave them, after putting so much energy into this relationship, your person will be everything you needed them to be for you, for the next person that comes into your life. And that's true. It is true. Your person may find a new relationship that is a good connection for them, but the same is also true for you. It is just as possible that the person you meet in your next relationship is a better match for you and can give you everything that you want and everything that you need from that person. Relationships, when I think about relationships, they really are the experience of helping to get to know ourselves better. And it does happen sometimes where we get into partnership with someone, and when things don't work out for whatever reason, we learn more about ourselves, and as a result of that, we do become better people and attract other people into our lives that we can have better relationships with. but sometimes we stay in these unhappy relationships because we don't want all of our effort that we put forward into being with this person. We don't want somebody else to reap the benefits of everything that we put in to the relationship. So it's kind of a funny situation. But here's the thing, is that when people don't take the learning opportunity to see their contribution of how they contributed to perhaps the relationship not working, or how they showed up in the relationship and why things didn't work out, like your own contribution. And we all have our good points, and we all have the side of us that needs to be healed. And when we do look at ourselves and our contribution to the relationship and who we were, that self-reflection and that growth is going to make us better for somebody else, for a happier and healthier relationship. But if we don't take the time to do that work, and we just go from one relationship to another, chances are we're going to play out the same patterns in the next relationship that we did in the current relationship. And the same would be true for your person as well. If they don't take the time to do that inner work and do that inner reflection and healing, they will take their patterns, relationship patterns, into the next relationship and play that out. And so that could look, let's say, something like, let's say your partner was very closed off, and it wasn't easy for them to allow openness and vulnerability and a deeper level of connection. Maybe they had avoidant tendency where they did things to make sure that not to allow so much intimacy into the relationship. If they don't learn how to be open and let love in that way, they will take those same tendencies, and it will play out in their next relationship as well. And then of course the same would be true for you as well. So never fear that you're making somebody better for somebody else. What's really important here is that you make yourself better for yourself, so that you can have the healthy relationships that you're looking for. And then the third reason why people stay in unhappy relationship is this fear of being alone. But I've discovered that people confuse being alone with feeling lonely. And the problem with being in a relationship that you are very unhappy in is that you are already likely feeling lonely inside that relationship. And perhaps you don't have a fear of being alone at all, and maybe you do. I know a lot of people who have never actually been on their own. There's never been a period of time where they have been on their own, where they've taken the time to discover who they are and what they like and what they don't like, and tap into just building something creative for themselves and creating stability within their own inner world and their own personal surroundings, and really getting grounded. A lot of people I know haven't done that already, and it is so healthy to be able to do that. So maybe it's a fear of being alone, and maybe it's a fear of being lonely. But in either case, maybe you don't have a fear of being alone, and perhaps being on your own for a while is exactly what you need to do, so you do have the time to build a healthier relationship or a deeper connection with yourself, which ultimately is going to help you attract a relationship, the type of relationship that you really want to have at a deeper connected level. So moving forward, your happiness matters. What you want also matters, and what you need also matters. And to sum it all up is, you matter, and you deserve to be happy. And it's a matter of, do you choose to stay in a situation that needs a break, or do you choose to be in a situation where you want to continue to make it work because your person is also on the same page and you really want to make it work? And then what does that look like? How do you two move together as a couple to try and make that work? And what do you need to do to be more present, or to allow, to trust your partner to be who they are in the relationship, whatever that looks like for you, and what type of support do you need? So I have left a link below this episode. If you would like to get some additional support, you can book an assessment, a complimentary assessment. Just get an overview of what's going on in your life and the relationship, and how you're feeling about yourself, and how you're feeling about your person, and overall in the relationship, and if you need that type of support. But I hope this episode resonated, and there's some nuggets of information and wisdom in there that you can take forward and gaining more happiness in your relationship, in your life. And until the next episode, I'm sending you so much love, and take care.